So I don't know if y'all saw it because we're going to play a different one here, big guy. But they were talking about they were talking about Jokic, and Jokic is the greatest tennis player of all time, also from Serbia. I told you yesterday, Serbia has less people in their country than the state of Virginia does. So it's fascinating just to think you've got the greatest basketball player on the planet and the greatest tennis player on the planet from a tiny little country. And to give you an idea of Jokic's personality, he was asked, did he hear from Djokovic after the game?
Congratulations. I'm going to see it. He's testing me, no? I don't know. I mean, oh, mom.
Okay.
How many texts you have?
A lot. I know. I'm going to turn off the phone.
He got exasperated because he went to his phone and he realized that's how humble he is and different. He didn't realize there were going to be hundreds of text messages waiting for him. So he went to see if Djokovic sent him a congrats, which I'm sure he did. And he was overwhelmed by the numbers. He was also overwhelmed because remember, he's from Serbia. He's a big family guy. Last night, by my math, was Monday night. And he wants to get the hell out of Denver and head back to Serbia. And he talked about the parade potentially here.
You said after the Lakers win, you said you were surprised that you didn't feel more. So I'm curious what you are feeling right now and if you're looking forward to a parade coming up in Denver.
When is parade? When is parade?
Thursday.
No. I need to go home. Okay.
He's completely overwhelmed by the parade. And then finally, let's hear from Jokic, and we'll get Amal and Dustin's take on his reaction here. Denver being patient, and the Nuggets while other teams react hastily, the Nuggets and the Kroenke family certainly did not.
Young player, I came here when I was 20. Jamal came here and he is 20. Yes, the core, but then I think you need, if you want to be successful, you need a couple of years. You need to be a bad, then you need to be the good, and then when you're good, you need to fail, and then when you fail, you're gonna figure it out. I think the experience is something that is not what happened to you, is what you're gonna do with that. What happened to you, and. Yes, Jamal was injured. Yes, we lose the first round or second round in the playoff. I don't even remember who remembers, but. There is a process that you need to. There is a steps that you need to fill, and it's not there is no shortcuts. It's a journey, and I'm glad that I'm part of this journey.
Okay, I'm going to walk you through the team building journey and the timeline of building this championship team in just a bit, but. Amal, let's go back to what I asked you before the commercial. What's your take on Jokic's response to winning a championship?
I absolutely love it, but I think when you come from a place like Serbia, you have such a great appreciation for being in America, and you realize what a great country it is. I think you see the same thing with Giannis Antetokounmpo in terms of his disposition, how he reacts. He fits in perfectly in Milwaukee, in the state of Wisconsin, because he's such a nice guy and he's so likable. Ray Allen won a championship with the Celtics, the Miami Heat. He always had a bit of a calm disposition when they won. I know he's got a child with some health difficulties. And I think people that may have some other circumstances around them in life that are greater, it's a different perspective for them. I think people expect the reaction to always be like Kevin Garnett when he won the Celtics championship. But to me, I think when you look at where a guy like Nikola Jokic comes from, I think perspective is different for him. One of the things that I loved was you saw him, his wife, his daughter, his two brothers, and their two wives on the floor there, right? Like for him, it's all about family.
Dustin, if we look through our American lens, I think some would consider him to be ungrateful. I think some would say that Jokic was underwhelming there, that we expect self-promotion. We expect somebody to be boisterous and talking about their accomplishments. We've seen that obviously with LeBron. I think we've gotten lucky with Steph. Steph came from something that one would presume privileged backgrounds, and he's as humble as it comes. So I think we should be fair to Steph and Clay and some of the others. But what's your take on Jokic's celebration?
He's an oddly grounded person. I don't know if that comes from who he is, or maybe because he's so good at basketball that he's kind of bored by the accomplishments of it. But he actually said last night, nobody likes his job, or maybe they do. They're lying. And I think he looks at basketball as his job and not his identity. He sounds like a very evolved person. It's something I cannot relate to, but I can appreciate it from afar.
Well put. He wants to get back to his horses. And I think you mentioned when he captured, was it his first or his second MVP? And they had the great video of him in Serbia riding,
He's
and
like
of course,
chariot.
a 7-footer on a horse or getting pulled by a horse is always going to look funny. When was that, Dustin?
It was either the second, I think it was the second MVP. They brought it to him in Serbia, and he rolls up around the corner on his farm, and he's like sitting in this chariot, and this horse is pulling him along the way to go get his trophy.
I think we can all, listen, I don't know. Like I said to Amal during the break, LeBron James might be the greatest person in America. He might be the most selfless and the most altruistic. We have no clue. Embiid might be the same person. My assumption, based on the celebration, that MVP meant a hell of a lot more to Embiid than a championship. That's the vibe I got. When they had the celebration amongst one another when they were down in a series.
Yeah, I heard Embiid ask, is there going to be a parade?
for him capturing
the MVP.
The MVP.
Campaigning for the MVP.
And it's literally something that Jokic didn't care about. And we talked about sometimes is he being sincere. I think you guys would agree. He literally does not care. But so that's just his vibe.
To me, I think there are a lot of players, maybe more in the past, that didn't care about individual statistics and things like that. Patch, we've talked about this name on the show more than probably any other, and you're a huge fan of Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was never about individual awards or accolades. He could have stuck around and broke the all-time rushing record and put it so far out of reach that Emmett behind that great offensive line would have never even come close to. But he wanted to win, and unfortunately, they gave him Wayne Fontes and Scott Mitchell.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. So atop the West, from December until the end of regulation, they win their first championship in franchise history. How did they get here? Well, it's a two-man game along with Michael Malone. Draft Jokic, draft Murray. Remember, Murray was a shoot-first guard coming out of Kentucky. What did you really have? Kind of a tweener as far as finding a position for him. Well, Jokic in the finals, 30 points, 14 boards, 7 assists. Murray in the finals after, remember, missing all of last year with the ACL, missed the full season, returns, averages 21, 6, and 10 in the finals. They also drafted with patience Michael Porter Jr. He had his third back surgery in 6 years last year. He played 9 games, Michael Porter Jr. last year, the full season, 9 games. All healthy this year, guys they drafted. Then they went out, traded for Gordon, a great trade, added KCP, a D&3 guy. New GM comes in, drafts Christian Brown out of Kansas, who played a part in this series and played a part in the year as a rookie, and then also signed Bruce Brown as a free agent, the leading scorer off the bench and a great player who had the go-ahead bucket there, as you mentioned, on a hustle play with the rebound and the put-in. So, again, that is how they got here. And it's also an ownership group in the Cronkies that were patient and stuck with a 6-7 year process and didn't give up on them. And oh, by the way, this starting 5 is under contract for at least another year. So can they do it again? Absolutely. If you take a look at the market, they're already your 5-1 favorite to repeat next year.
You brought up a lot of great points right there. Let's start with the Cronkies real quick. Stan Kroenke, for people that are unaware, is married to a Walmart heir, but Stan Kroenke made his own money. I mean, this guy's a multi-billionaire on his own accord. They showed great patience with Jamal Murray. And, you know, I was not as high on the Jamal Murray pick. I thought Michael Porter Jr. would be the number 2 on this team eventually, a 20-10-5 guy. Maybe he gets there at some point in time. But right now, Jamal Murray is clearly the second best player on this team and has done a tremendous job. And then Calvin Booth, remember, former NBA player out of Penn State. He's the general manager of this team. You mentioned the acquisition of Aaron Gordon. I think he's been tremendous. KCP didn't have a great finals, but he's a guy that's contributed throughout the course of the season. Bruce Brown's been a really nice player for them. Christian Brown, he's a guy I think the confidence level will only elevate as he continues to play. This team's going to be really dangerous.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.